evening. This is Doc Rock, Dr. Caracas Watkins, and I have Melissa Thompson, which I'm going to introduce in a few minutes with me on tonight, Lead and Achieve. Hey, we're going to talk about leadership. We're going to talk about going forward, having integrity, diversity, equity, and inclusion in the workplace. We're going to talk about a whole lot of things. She is a friend. She is awesome, and I'm most excited for her to be my guest tonight.
Well, thank you.
And so let me just read Melissa's bio. And then we'll go forward. So Melissa Thompson served as the CEO president for the Community Foundation of Greater Huntsville, where she has worked for the past 10 years. The Community Foundation works to improve the quality of life in our community through philanthropy. Over the past 13 years, the Community Foundation, get this, has raised over $70 million for charitable causes and has distributed primarily on behalf of its donors, $35 million to local, regional, and national charities. Woo!
It's amazing.
Can you give me
incredible community.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Melissa is a graduate of Arizona State University College of Law. And we talked about that. And of course, you all know my daughter's a law student right now. So that's awesome. She is also a graduate of Leadership Huntsville, class 26.
Best class ever.
Class 30, ultimate class, and impact class 3. Melissa is actively involved in our community and has served on a number of local boards that are devoted to improving the quality of life for us all. Melissa has the very best job in the world.
I do.
Okay, so she says, helping people to be generous. Oh, helping people to be generous. I like that. Whatever that looks like for them is her passion and her purpose. Melissa has been married to her husband, Tom, for 34 years. That's awesome. And they are the proud parents of one son, Sam.
That's Sam. Yep.
So, Melissa, we welcome you tonight.
Thank you for having me. I'm so excited to be here.
Well,
'Cause you're a good friend, and so I just love just having a chance to chat. So.
Yeah, and listen, you all wasn't here like 30 minutes ago, but we already had a serious conversation
That's true.
offline.
Offline, yes, exactly.
that was really good. Melissa, I read your bio, but tell me and those who are watching about you. How'd you get to Huntsville? Where you're from?
Yeah, all the
those things.
Well, so kind of at my very core, so my personal mission is to honor God, love my family, and serve my community. And that motivates everything I do. And so I was born in Michigan. My family moved quite a bit. My dad was not military, but we moved around a lot. And so we lived in Virginia, North Carolina, Georgia, moved to Arizona when I got married. And then in 2004 came to Huntsville for the first time and didn't know what to expect, just thinking, oh, I'm going to head to Alabama. I'm not sure what to expect there, but have fallen in love with this community. And the community has loved me right back. So it's just such a great place to raise a family. It's such a great place to live. Wouldn't live anywhere else. Love it here.
Now, Melissa, you gave us a short version of that. You have a law degree.
I do.
You have a JD, judicial doctorate, right? And I didn't know this until we having breakfast one time at our favorite place, Another Broken Egg.
Yes, that's true. Yeah. A little commercial. Yeah.
Commercial, yeah. Why are you not practicing law? Why are you at Community Foundation?
Well, because I think law is kind of a gateway to use, it develops a skill set, problem solving. And you know what? I love my work at the Community Foundation. I love helping donors be generous. And so what it allows me to do is that having that legal background kind of gives me that frame of reference that just not to give legal advice to donors, but to help to understand how to best frame something that's going to help them be more generous. So that's what we're all about, is helping people be generous and, using it in a way.
Helping people be generous.
Yeah.
Wow. So that's a really good way of saying we need your money now.
No, you know what? It's not just because generosity is so much more than money.
Oh, that's what I'm saying. Yeah.
Generosity is it's a purpose, it's a mission, it's, how do you live your life in service to others? So you got a whole bunch of stuff, right? You've got time, money, just your skills, the things that you bring. So sometimes it's more than money.
And as a setup question, yes, yeah, it is more than money. And I've talked to you, and I've heard your core. And your core is helping people. Your core is generosity and whatever you can give to help your community. Let's do that. And, we sit on the chamber board and other things together and all that. But a lot of people don't know, what is the Community Foundation? I mean, you're the CEO, president of the Community Foundation. I mean, yeah, you're $70 million. Oh my goodness, for 13 years. I mean, that's a lot of money. But what is the Community Foundation? How do you be a part of it? How do you join it? Is it application? I mean, what is it about?
We're right in the middle. So Community Foundation is all about this community. And so it's the greater Huntsville area. So it's 5 counties. It's Jackson, Limestone, Madison, Morgan, and Marshall counties. And so at the Community Foundation, we mobilize generosity to improve quality of life in the community. So really that mobilizing generosity is at the core of all that we do. And so it's, people, we say that we help donors be generous however it looks to them. So it may be that one donor's passion, another donor's not interested in. And so we just have, we have over 300 funds that we manage. So sometimes it's an individual fund for individual donors, sometimes it's a collective fund. So one of the projects, I had meetings today, we're helping with a public-private partnership with the city of Huntsville to build a new skate park in our community at John Hunt Park. And so it's that kind of thing where we have a donor who's passionate about this and has brought resources to the table, but it's really a community effort. So it's everything from skate parks to Women's Philanthropy Society to one that's near and dear to both of our hearts is the Racial Equity Fund. Right. And so we have a lot of donors who've contributed to that.
Talk about that a little bit.
Yeah, so in 2020, we really sort of found our voice as an organization in a lot of ways. And so when COVID hit, March 13th of 2019, it was a Friday afternoon, the first case of COVID was announced in the state of Alabama. So by Monday, March 16th, we said, we've got to do something, and here's what we're going to do. And so we said, we're going to, at the same time, raise money for emergency relief efforts, and we're going to get grant requests from nonprofit organizations. Over the course of the next several months, and through the incredible generosity of our community, we raised over $800,000 for COVID relief right back into the community. So in the midst of all of that, the circumstances around George Floyd's death bubbled up, and organizations were trying to figure out what is our role in this, and so how do we make a difference? So a lot of organizations came out with, like statements and just, belief in equity and inclusion for all of our community citizens. And so we had to step back and say, who are we as an organization? And we said, for us, it wasn't as much about what we said as what we did. And so we leaned in on our mission to mobilize generosity. So we launched the Racial Equity Fund. And so over the course of 3 weeks, we had over 60 founding donors who each gave gifts or pledges of $5,000 apiece. And so then we had a fund that's about addressing equity gaps in very specific areas. So we're in the 3rd year of grant funding for that. And so we're just, our goal is to use generosity in a way that makes our community better. Yeah. And so that's one way.
And I thought there was, and we've been a part of that, the Ability Plus, and our church, Emmanuel Church.
Exactly.
Both been a part of that. And I thought that was great because at that time, and we all serve on boards and those type things, and people was putting out a bunch of statements. And even you and I had some candid conversations about, what are we going to do?
Right.
Because it's so easy to say, we want diversity, we want equity, we want inclusion, and those statements are really good. But what are we going to do? And when you challenged me on some things at a meeting. You was like, well, Doc, hey, what are you going to do? What's going to happen? Right. And when I saw what the Community Foundation was doing, not just saying. Now we got to say some things. That's
Absolutely.
Fine. There's nothing wrong with a statement.
Right.
But it is. I tell people we don't need to just talk about it.
Right.
We need to walk about it.
Right.
We need to walk about it. We need to put some steps to that. And looking at what you all have done, it's incredible.
Well, and you know what? It's our work is so dependent on the generosity of our community. And I am such a believer in people want to do the right things and they just don't always know how to do it. And so when we can stand in that space and say, I don't pretend to have all the answers, but I can do what I do best, and that's mobilizing generosity to help solve issues. And then the community responds, and we have incredible grants committees who are deploying that money strategically with impact. And so it really just allows us as a community to solve our most pressing problems.
Wow. And you are. I mean, even, and I'll switch gears and put on my CEO hat of Ability Plus right quick. And even, we benefited from Community Foundation, because so you're not, you're not pushing out any group. You're including everybody. Those
That's
with special
goal.
Needs. It doesn't make a difference. Everybody is special to you all.
Exactly.
which is not the case all the time,
Well, and just kind of one thing, people think, oh, do you have favorite nonprofits? No, we don't. Last year, our donors gave to over 600 nonprofits.
Whoa.
600.
Did you all hear that? They gave to 600 nonprofits.
Yeah, $8 million went out the door last year. Much of it was through our donor advised fund holders, but our discretionary grants, 600 nonprofits.
600 nonprofits.
Yeah, and 70% of those dollars stay right here in the greater Huntsville area.
70% stayed in the greater Huntsville area.
Yes.
See, that's incredible.
Yeah.
I don't know how many people can brag or make those statements like that because that is great. We have a great community.
We have an
We
incredible
do, and
community.
people give.
Yeah,
I
they
mean,
do.
We got some people who have big hearts and want to give. And I think one of the things you said is key is how we give.
Right.
What's the vehicle? And a lot of people want to give, they want to help, but they don't know how to do it. And who should we go through? Who should we go to? How much we should give.
Right.
What kind of return are we going to get on it? Mm-hmm. Because no one wants just to give
Right.
and not see any benefit or impact
right.
on it. Right. Absolutely. And that's important.
Well, and our emergency relief fund was one of the best examples of that. Our gifts ranged from $5 to over $100,000, but it didn't matter about the amount; it mattered about the heart. And so we knew that people were giving to help our community. One of the most meaningful donations to us was we got a check for $50 for emergency relief, and it was from a sweet lady who sent us a note and said, hey, I got an extra check from Social Security this month, and there are people in my community who need food, and I want to give. And so she gave us $50 that month and $50 every month since she goes, people still need me. And this is a woman who lived on Social Security, but we actually made one of my colleagues put her card in a frame and leaves it on her desk to remind us why we do what we do.
Wow. I'm a fan of Simon Sinek.
I am too.
Okay, and,
Lead with why.
As Simon says, many people and companies know what they do.
Right.
Some know how they do it, but many don't know why they do it.
Right.
And and Nietzsche said, if you have a why, you can bear almost any how. Right.
Right.
And that's so important that we as individuals, and then we as organizations and companies, we know our why. Why are we doing what we're doing? What gets us up in the morning? I tell people, if you have a strong why, it'll get you up when everybody else is hitting the snooze button.
I love, in my bio, I include the fact that I have the best job in the world, because I do. And we're having a conversation today on our team. I'm just like, I don't want to get emotional about it. I feel like I am so incredibly blessed to do the work I do with the team I work with, to serve this community I love. I'm like, that's the why. That gets me out of bed.
Yeah.
I'm excited to go to work because I love what I do.
And you do. I can see in your eyes right now.
I do. I love what I do.
And we've talked several times, and the energy that you have is the same energy at 7:30 in the morning when eating breakfast
It
or
is.
whatever, right?
I'm a morning person. Fade a little bit as the day goes, but yeah.
But I think that energy is required and is real. And when you're talking to people, I know you're talking to me, I can feel it, I can sense it. It is not some fake thing or some...
Life's too short.
Right. We're not putting on some show on the air right now. This is real. And because people have real needs, and we need real people helping. That has a heart, that understands generosity and understand how that look, And that's so important.
Well, and everyone's kind of got a different perspective, but I will say we are in the Bible Belt. We work with a lot of donors who their faith is very important to them. And so what I love is to see many of our donors have funds that we manage, and they name their funds a Bible verse, or they name it something about stewardship, or they name it something about, understanding that to whom much is given, much is required. And so their generosity is motivated out of heart of stewardship, giving back, blessing others with the blessings they've received. And I just think that's the coolest thing. It's to see faith in action through generosity.
Through generosity.
Yeah.
My favorite book, I read a bunch of books, but because I speak a lot of places, and some places I speak, they're not Christian oriented. So here's what I will say. I say my favorite book says, and my favorite book, right? And my favorite book, and for those who watch on this show, I can say my favorite book is the Bible among all the books. But and it reminds me, for God so loved the world, He gave. Generosity is there.
It's core.
It's core, and whether you're a believer or not, It is core. It's something that happens when you give. We all like gifts, right? It's good to get a gift. Somebody give you something. That's a good thing. But there's no feeling in the world like when you give.
Exactly.
Your time, your talent, money, whatever.
So now you know why I have the best job in the world.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Well, I do too. I love it.
Because I say, I work with people when they're generous. And when
Yeah.
people are generous, they're at their best.
They're at their best. Oh, say that again.
When people are generous, they're at their best. And whenever I get to work people and work with people and help them be generous, however that looks to them, they're at their best.
They're at their best. They're living. I tell people, when you give, you become a flowing river. When you don't give, you become a dead sea. Okay, I've been to Israel many times. In the lower Jordan, flows into the Dead Sea. You have to open. You see a guy leading in the lower Jordan, flows to the Dead Sea. But the reason why the Dead Sea is dead, not because it stinks anything, it doesn't have an outlet. Nothing comes out of it. So if you don't give something out, you die. And I tell people, if it's $5, if it's $3, whatever you're at, give. Because when you give, you release some potent, supernatural things that make you smile.
So here's what we say generosity is an investment in the future you want to see.
I like that.
So you think about, it's like, where do you want to plant your flag? What kind of community do you want to live in? And how can you help make that a reality?
Now, back to, I want to talk diversity, equity, and inclusion.
Yeah.
You all have money where your mouth is, have the fund, racial fund.
Right.
But also, you have 2 interns.
We do.
From
I'm
2
so
historically
excited.
black
Yes.
schools, Oakwood and Alabama A&M. Can you
Yes.
talk about that a little bit?
I would love to. So one of the things, whenever we started the Racial Equity Fund, we were really kind of intentional to say, hey, it's not just about what's happening out there. We got to hold the mirror to ourselves and say, how are we doing as an organization? Where are we creating opportunities, or where are we closing equity gaps ourselves? And so we launched, we said, we can't just hire new staff just at will because, budget constraints and that sort of thing. But we said, what can we do that's intentional? And so we said, you know what, in the field of philanthropy, minority voices are underrepresented in the field of philanthropy. So we said, well, what can we do about it? We said, we've got 2 awesome universities right here in town. So we just started having conversations. We said, this is what we want to do. We want to start an internship program, a philanthropy internship program, to bring underrepresented voices to the table, to help us in our work. And so we have been, like so many things, you think you're doing something to give someone else the opportunity and you get the bigger blessing out of it. So that's kind of where we are. And so we have interns from Alabama A&M and from Oakwood University. They have been such phenomenal additions to our team. And and they have given to us, just their skills, their insights. They've jumped in and just dug into our team. They're part of who we are. And we've been able to then help them on their next steps. And just really excited to see where they're going to go, but to know we've had a little tiny role to play in that.
Wow.
So, but it's just, that's the example that everyone can do something. And so instead of trying to make problems of diversity, equity, inclusion so big, like I can't do it all. Well, none of us can.
Right.
But what can you do?
Right.
What can you do?
Right. But what can you do?
Yeah.
And you all took some steps, and you did something, about it. And I think sometimes we trying to shoot for the moon before we get to the clouds.
Yeah.
No, let's just get to the cloud. Let's just take a step.
Take the next best step.
Yeah, that's right. And see what can we do
Yep.
as an organization to help our world. Because it's back to giving. It's back to being generous. And understand that everybody have a role to play. I want to talk about leadership a little bit.
Okay.
I'm going to give you a definition of leadership. It's one that I've been using for years. I got it from Dr. Miles Monroe, the late Dr. Miles Monroe. And Miles said that the leadership is the capacity to influence others through inspiration. Motivated by a passion, you. Generated by a vision, you. Produced by a conviction, you. And ignited by a purpose, you. So I'm going to say that again. Leadership is the capacity to influence others through inspiration. Motivated by a passion, generated by a vision, produced by a conviction, and ignited by a purpose. Now, that's kind of formal. What is leadership to you?
Wow, I think leadership is being willing to step out as a model, being willing to be on the forefront, and to take whatever skills, interests, and gifts that you've been given and use those for a common good. And I think it's kind of as simple as that. But I mean, I am such a huge proponent of leadership because I do believe that organizations will be limited by their leadership. And so an organization will never rise above the level of its leader, which as a leader, it's this incredible responsibility that says, I don't want to be the one standing in the way of what my organization can do.
Yeah.
And so, but taking that seriously and realizing that I have a responsibility to always be growing, always be learning, always be challenging and pushing myself before I can ever push my team.
Yeah. I mean, I think it's great because so goes the leader, so goes the
Oh my
pack,
goodness.
right?
It's the law of the lid, right?
Yeah,
It's
the law of the
Stephen
lid,
Covey's
right. Yeah,
law of the lid.
Exactly. And you said something that's pretty powerful, that an organization cannot go any higher than their leadership.
I believe it.
No, I fully do. I fully do. You can have the greatest strategic plan in the world. You can have the
meaningless.
greatest vision on the wall and mission statement. If your leadership
Right.
does not buy into that and not willing to work as a team to
Right.
accomplish that, it doesn't happen.
What do they say? It's like, if you think you're leading, you look behind, no one's following, you're just taking a walk.
You're just taking a walk. And how many people just taking a walk?
Oh my goodness.
I mean, and
Yeah.
you know, but we have a grandiose title. Leadership is not title. Whether
not
you
title.
CEO, whether you know, whether it's not
Yeah.
title. It's function.
Right. Well, and that's, again, why I'm so blessed. At the Community Foundation is we have 7 people on our team, and every one of them is a dynamic leader in their own right. And so we have a team of leaders who are leading in their area of influence, and every one of them is just a leader. And so
Yeah.
I think that's, you don't have to have a title to be a
Right,
leader.
right.
You're leading in your area of influence.
That's true. That's true. True leaders build and make more leaders.
Absolutely.
Not just followers. They make leaders.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, because you and I know, it's like, if you're intimidated by people on your team, you're not, you need to step aside.
Yeah. Yeah.
You have to lead. I mean, you have to take that responsibility.
Yeah. I tell people, and I get a chance to talk to many companies and people, and I say, you're no stronger than your leadership. You're no
Right.
stronger than the weakest leader you have. It's just like the bicycle chain. I mean, if one link in that chain is weak and break, I don't
Right.
care how great the other links are, you're on the side of the road pushing that thing, right? I
Right.
mean, you pushing it, and so many people, we're not caring for that one link, but we got to drive all the way down and say, okay, where's the weak link? Where we have weakness at, and we have to build on it. Peter Drucker said something I want to quote years ago. He said, we live in a time of accelerated change, overwhelming complexity, and tremendous competition.
Yeah.
And we are.
True.
And it's so true. And without leadership and proper leadership, I don't know how you'll survive or thrive, definitely, as a company.
Well, and one of the things I think the pandemic has taught us, of course, we're still in the midst of that, is the need for resilience. That, if you just kind of at the beginning of the pandemic, if you just sat back and waited for things to pass, you're still waiting. And so part of leadership is being able to say, okay, this isn't what I planned, but this is where we are, and let's go. Where are we going to go next, and what's that next best step? And so how do you build resilience in your organization so you can handle those periods of extreme change? I mean, we've seen that like we've never have, right? In the last 2 years. I had a conversation with someone today. It was just about, I said, I just love the nonprofit organizations in our community because I think they're so incredibly resilient. They were able to figure out how to serve better during the pandemic because they said, our mission is too important to sit back and wait. We've got people to serve and things to do, and how we're going to do it differently. And so I just saw such incredible stories of innovation and leadership during the pandemic of folks who said, well, I've never done that before, but heck if I can't do it now.
Right.
And so building in that capacity for resilience, the capacity for change. How do you anticipate change? So the conversation I was having this morning is like, how do you even build in like an acceptance of change? The reason change is so jarring is it's because it's unusual.
Yep.
What if you create systems where you introduce change on a regular basis?
Wow. Right. You know, I'm a big component of systems. I guess it comes back from my engineering
Yeah, yeah.
kind of mindset, whatever. Because if you have systems with the proper leadership and integrity, things gonna move. And you know, the pandemic happened. I say this: we are who we are under pressure.
That's true.
We are who we are under pressure, and the pandemic brought some pressure, and it made us look within ourselves. It made us become innovative and creative, and okay, we haven't did it this way, but okay, how can we do it? And hey, we got to get to the other side of the street, and the car is not working, but hey, we're not giving up. How do we get cross? How do we cross the street? And we don't like things like this to happen, but we need things like this to happen.
Disruptions.
We need disruption, absolutely.
Right.
You don't even know what type of leader you are until you are faced with some type of adversity that you haven't came across yet.
Well, and sometimes, you know, I think if we're open to that, we can be better on the other side. And so, a couple of examples. I mean, this past year we had a major event that was scheduled in September. Well, the COVID numbers were rising, so we said, okay, we're going to kick the can down the road to November. We got to November, like, this makes so much more sense. Why are we not doing it in November every year? Then this year, Navigate, which we'll talk about in a minute, but we were scheduled to do that in June. And so it was like, okay, we're rocking and rolling in June. Well, our venue had a major remodel, and they're like, we're going to be remodeling, then we're going to need to shift you to another place, or you can come back 6 weeks and back it up. We're like, oh, we wouldn't have chosen that, but let's move it back to May. And all of a sudden, it's like, we kind of like it in May. And so sometimes I think when we're open or have the right mindset when things happen to us, we can be better on the other side.
So you just said something, and we're going to talk about navigating in a second. Lead me to my next thing. Okay, open mindset.
It is.
If you going to be a great leader or a great person, you got to have a mindset. It's all attitude. I tell people, 85% of our production is based on our attitude.
Absolutely.
And can you talk about mindset and attitude and a little bit, because yours is great. But how does it affect you? Because you could.
Oh my goodness.
You could be negative.
Anyone, you know, it's because you have the same circumstance, so you can either see it as like, oh, poor me, I can't believe I have to deal with this problem, or you can say, wow, this is a new opportunity to do something different that I never would have thought I could do. And so it's like, do you approach life with seeing the problems or seeing the opportunities?
And see, I tell people I have no problems, I have opportunities.
They're just disguised as problems.
That's all. Yeah, right.
Yeah.
And it's opportunities for me to partner with people. It's opportunities for me to be creative. It's opportunity for me to study more. It's opportunity for me to work harder. It's just opportunity. And it will work out for the good if I keep the right attitude.
Because you know what? I can venture to say that we've all grown most in periods of problems.
Oh, yes.
Right? Because when things are easy, there's no growth needed.
That's cool. Those who work out bodybuilders, right? You got to tear the muscle down for it to be rebuilt. You have to have problems. We grow. We don't grow in our wins. We celebrate. We're on the hill saying, "Woo, we did it!" But the growth come in the valley.
It does.
The growth come in the valley.
It does.
And I think here's what I had to do, Melissa. I had to condition my mind to embrace hardness, to embrace trouble. Because naturally, we kind of like want to run from that.
Of course we do.
Okay? But I tell people all the time, you have to trick your brain to, when you see problems and troubles, you don't see it that way. You see it as an opportunity and embrace it. Bring it in. Don't push it out. Bring it in, okay? And it will help you more than anything. I look back at my life, and I've been through, just like all of us probably have, through some tough times.
Right.
I didn't enjoy going through them.
No, of course not.
Okay.
Right.
But I wouldn't trade it for nothing in my life. And I say this story a lot. When I took over Ability Plus, man, going 10 years now, but I took it over 8 years ago, we was losing $115,000 a month. Now, you know it's a lot of money.
That's a lot of money.
And guess what? Our line of credit was at full capacity, like over $500,000, $500,000. Yeah. And it was rough. It was tough the first year. But I wouldn't trade that experience of building a team, building a culture, just initiating hard work and integrity. I mean, it brought me to the place I'm at now. Now, it was hard. Oh man, it was really hard. It was
Right.
some really, really
Right.
long days and nights and strategy and oh my goodness. And I'm believing while my knees are shaking, right? I'm telling the people, we're gonna do it while my knees
like,
are shaking.
I hope so.
Yeah,
Yeah.
right, right?
Yeah,
But it makes us who we are.
it does.
It's all attitude.
Well, and I think back even over my life, just not only professionally but personally.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, we've all had experiences that have just shaken us to our core. But my prayer has always been, what are you trying to teach me? What am I trying to learn? What do I need to learn and out of this circumstance? And it always becomes clear.
It does.
And it really kind of gives me a new direction or a
Mm-hmm.
new purpose about something. And so I can look back and say, there's a reason behind it, not one I would have chosen, but on the other side of it, I see,
Right,
see the
right.
purpose.
And that's so true, right? It's very, very key that we look at it the right way. We wouldn't have chose it, but it helped us.
Yeah,
It helped us tremendously.
right.
And so many people run away from that and they said, no, I want to be a part of that. I'm just, and with me, a true leader is there not just in the good times.
Oh my goodness.
I don't need you when we just flying high.
Anyone can lead.
Yeah, anybody can lead. I need you when there's holes in the boat and we plugging them up. Because we trying to get to the other side over there.
Right.
And we need everybody helping.
Yeah.
We need your talent on board. And it's very key that your talent is used.
Yeah, well, because I think a leader's got to be in the trenches. I think a leader's got to be willing to do what they're asking their folks to do too. They can't. I don't think it's leadership to just order people around. That's not leadership. That's
No.
a dictator.
It is a dictator, and I think a lot of people, I think some leaders want people to follow them because of title. I want people to follow me because they see my leadership. They see the vision. They see the passion. They see me doing. I always say this right here. I tell even no matter whether I'm here or at a leadership company or at the church or wherever, I say I would never ask you to do anything that I'm not willing to do myself.
Right.
There's times that I got on a suit and I'm carrying the garbage out. Yep.
Yep.
People come and they're like,
We do too. We do too.
And
My
I'm
garbage
like,
day is
yeah,
Thursday.
Yeah, right.
I think I forgot my garbage today. Doc, I think I just
You messed it up.
I did.
Yeah. But and I'm like, no. This has nothing to do with the garbage. This. I'm a part of the team, and everybody on the team have to contribute. It don't make no difference what I'm wearing. It don't make a difference what my title is. No, I'm a servant leader.
Yeah, servant first.
Yeah, servant first. Servant first. Leader second. I'm a servant leader.
Yeah.
That great.
Because you don't have the credibility to be the leader until you're the servant.
You don't. You do not. You do not. I tell anybody, if you want to be a great leader, be a great follower. Because if you're not a great follower, you're not a great leader.
Yeah.
You got to serve people.
Well, we had this conversation, and I just love the team I work with. And so we were talking today. I said, my goal has always been to be respected by my team. And you can't be respected by your team if you're not willing to serve.
Wow. And how many leaders have lost the respect of their team, and they think their team respect them because the team do what they say, but they're only doing
They
it.
fear
Yeah,
them.
they fear them, right? Exactly. They do
They
it
don't
out of
respect
fear.
them.
Yeah,
Yeah.
They don't respect them at all. And I would never ever, Melissa, want to be a leader or a so-called leader.
Right.
That the people that was on my team only follow me out of fear. Can you imagine that? Oh my God.
Well, and because you and I both believe, it's like every morning you got to get up and look in the mirror. And it's like, who's looking back at you? Someone you respect? Do you respect yourself enough to be that kind of leader that others want to follow?
Yeah. That leader that others want to follow.
Yeah.
And that's what I want to be. I want to be a leader that others want to follow. You know me. See, I am called, I feel, to make
Preach on.
to make
Yeah.
people for them to maximize their potential. See, when I see a person, I never ever see where they're at. I see where they can go. I see the potential. I talk to the potential.
Yeah.
I lead to the potential. I never lead to where you at. We may talk about where you at, but I never lead to where you at.
Yeah.
I'm always trying to lead to where you can go, where I can go. And my biggest joy in the world, that's why I get up every morning with a big old smile on my face, is helping people.
Yeah.
And maybe I only had 1% of their success, but I know that I helped a little bit. That's where I get my satisfaction from.
Yeah.
My joy comes from that. every morning, and it's great. It's absolutely great.
So, okay, gonna go spiritual on it.
Oh,
though.
that's good.
Well, because I think about the story in the Bible where you've got Gideon hiding out from the Midianites, and the angel of the Lord comes and says, "Mighty warrior." Calls him mighty warrior.
Sure did.
He sees his potential.
He did.
He did not see the man who was cowering. Because he was scared of what might happen, he saw his potential. That's like one of the things. It's like if we can see in others that who they could be.
Who they could be.
If you had people breathing life into them.
Speaking.
Speaking truth, speaking life.
Affirmation.
And,
faith-filled
just
words to them. Yes.
Making our teams all they can be, making, the people we come in contact with all they can be. I mean, I think that's like one of the highest purposes in our lives is, I sort of like just say, my kind of indirect goal is just to make my corner of the world a little brighter because I was here.
Yeah, right.
And I'm like, at the end of my life, so my life verse is, 2 Timothy 4:7. I fought a good fight. I've finished my course. I have kept the faith.
Yes.
Because I want to, they can put that on my tombstone. If I've done that, fought a good fight, finished my course,
your course,
and kept the faith.
Kept the faith.
That's
right.
all. That's all that's asked of.
And you do that, I'm sure I'm going to hear, "Well done, my good and faithful servant." I'm sure of that.
Yeah.
And hey, I think personally that's what we should. I mean, to get up every morning with that in mind, no bad days. And I talk about no bad days. Matter of fact, my second book will be out hopefully by September, about a month behind No Bad Days. And the reason I don't have any bad days, because today is Triumphant Thursday, because every day to me is an opportunity for me to help serve my community, this world, the kingdom of God to go forward in all capacities, right? In any kind of way I can. And when I shut my eyes every night, I'm satisfied with me. Not that I'm perfect, not that I did everything right. Hey, I mess up just like everybody else. But I tell people, you will never ever question my heart. Right. You may question why I did it, okay, but you will not be able to question Doc Rock heart. Because I don't do anything without my heart being in it. If my heart is not in it, Melissa, I'm gone.
Right.
I'm one of those kind of people, like, I got to be part of it.
Yeah.
I can't be a part of something that maybe I'm just getting here, I'm just getting a paycheck. I can't
Life's
do that.
Too short.
I can't do it.
Yeah. No, you and I are on the same page. It's like just personal integrity. It's like, who are you? You've got to be true to who you are and whose you are, and kind of living a life that way.
It is. And I'm just thinking, bringing this back to the Community Foundation.
We did kind of get off track.
No, it's good. No. But it's good because that's why, in my personal feelings and conviction, that's why I believe that our Community Foundation is making such a major difference, because you and your team. You see what I'm saying? Your heart is there. And when your heart is there, people can feel your heart and know you are. We can talk all day long. We can have all kind of accolades. We can have great oratorical skills. We can do all that stuff. But at the end of the day, real people know real people.
That's true. And you know what? I think part of the reason we're successful is because it's not about us. It never has been.
Well, that's
It's about our community, and how do we serve our community best.
Now, how long have you been in the community?
I have been 10 years.
10 years.
Yeah.
And you started out, now how did you get there?
Okay, so a little shout out to my friend Lynn Berry and my other friend Jenny Robinson. So I was doing a lot of PTA work. And so I was kind of a stay-at-home mom for a bit, very involved in PTA. And so I was at a school board meeting one night.
Wow, a lawyer involved in PTA.
Go figure. I know. Well, and so I was at a school board meeting one night, and Jenny Robinson said, "Hey, there's an opening at the Community Foundation. Would you have any interest?" So I went and interviewed for the job, and Lynn Berry hired me at the time. Lynn Valley now.
Yeah,
and
great person.
So she is, and we just worked together. And that was such a pivotal year for the Community Foundation, because we had some really big transactions happening that year, and just really some growth happening. And so I just continued to work and do my part, and just continued to work through the Community Foundation, and just got additional responsibilities along the way. And just the bottom line has never been about the title. It's always just been about the work.
Yeah.
And so
never been about the title. Always been about the work.
Yeah.
Not the title. Everybody looking. Not the title, the work. And it is. It's the work. Before we wrap up tonight, let's talk about navigate.
Okay, let's do.
And
we have an awesome speaker
I don't know.
this year.
I have no. Boy, is that person all right? I hope they are.
They are. Okay, so can I give a little plug?
Yeah, you can give a plug.
Okay,
Yes.
so one of my favorite days of the whole year is our Navigate Nonprofit Network Conference, and that's a chance for nonprofit professionals of all types. So whether you're you work at a nonprofit or you are on a board of a nonprofit, you volunteer for a nonprofit, it's a day for you. And so this is happening on May 5th at the Von Braun Center North Hall. And so our keynote speaker is none other than Doc Rock, who will be speaking to us about the power of purpose.
Yep.
The power of purpose. And so in addition to an incredible keynote address that'll kick off our day with lunch, we have like 3 tracks of training and a networking reception at the end of the day. We know our nonprofit leaders work so hard day in and day out. And so to have a day that's devoted to them and to celebrate them, to inspire them, to educate them, and then at the end of the day to network together with other nonprofit leaders, it really is truly a highlight. It's like reunion week for a lot of our nonprofits. They are hugging in the halls and just so excited to be together. And so it is like truly one of my favorite days of the year.
Wow. I'm excited. First of all, I'm honored that you all would ask me or to apply for that and select me as your keynote speaker. I really am, and I hope I do a great job.
You will do great.
But the classes after that.
Oh my goodness.
I went through the catalog. I mean, it's some good stuff,
y'all. You don't have to be a nonprofit leader to do this because there's like truly something for everyone.
Yeah, for everyone. I mean,
PR,
no matter who you are.
Marketing, board development, budget and finance, not how to run a nonprofit from the outset, like a 101 class, 401, how to take your nonprofit to these newer and deeper levels. I mean, there really is something for everyone. Yes,
it really is. It really is. We have, I think, 8 people that's participating.
Excellent.
They're not just coming to hear me speak. They're like, no, I want to stay signed up for classes.
There's like 27 classes.
27 classes.
Yeah, that day.
And this is what, the 9th year, 8th year, what is it?
This is the 9th year, I believe.
Okay.
It's hard to believe. Oh my goodness.
Wow. And it's big. I mean, and you feel the North Hall. I mean, I'm looking at.
We probably will. Our goal has been 500. I think we may go over 500. But it's like register quickly to get the classes you want because some of the classes will fill up before our total capacity.
Wow.
So quick spotlight: navigatehsv.org if you want to learn more. So we promise you a good keynote.
Yeah. You have a good time.
You will.
You will. And we talk about purpose and the power of that and how does that look being a nonprofit because your purpose is your why, right?
Oh, it is.
It's the reason why you get up and if that's strong, then your nonprofit gonna be strong. So I'm excited about it. I can't wait. It's gonna be good and fellowship with everybody. And you got city leaders that are there in the year. You got
we have the mayors both coming and they just I am just so grateful for our community's leadership because they believe in our nonprofit community and they invest back in our nonprofit community. They come bring greetings and just celebrate with us all the good work that's being done.
There's people all over. I was talking to a lady from Birmingham that runs a nonprofit that's going about
we have them from Georgia, Tennessee, Mississippi come over. So if you're local, man, you have no excuse. Come on.
Because they come from all over.
Yeah, that's true.
And it's going to be good. And it's just another thing that's great that the Community Foundation of Greater Huntsville do every year, year in and year out.
Because we do. I mean, we believe our nonprofits are on the front lines doing good for our community. And so how can we invest in their capacity to do good even better?
Yep. Awesome. Generally, I will tell you to put some questions down. I forgot to tell you that tonight. But if you do have one right quick, I'm going to give you about 2 minutes to put it in the chat and ask a quick question. And some of you sometime already do. But if you do that, then maybe Melissa can answer your question for a minute. Because this has been good. And hopefully we'll do this again.
Thank you for the opportunity.
Again.
We have a good friendship, and so it's just natural, to kind of.
It is.
Kindred spirits.
Kindred spirits. My favorite book again says iron sharpens iron.
Yes.
And when you get around another piece of iron, you sharpen one another. So I tell people, I hang out with people who sharpen me. And you are one that sharpen me.
Well, and right back at you.
Yeah.
Right back at you.
And that's the truth. because that's so important. We can do much more together than apart. There's no doubt about
Absolutely.
that.
Well, yeah. I mean, I think we all need people in our lives who can speak truth into our lives. And even if things aren't, like we were saying earlier, it's like if we get off the rails a little bit, I'm looking for my friends, my people to come back and say, Melissa, you're off track here, you know, and be able to say that to me and me be able to receive that.
Yep. And I want to tell you, if you're watching, you can share this and like Doc Rock, you can share this program on your Facebook or your Instagram. You can send it, copy it, and send it to someone because they need it. Melissa, any final words that you want to tell us, talk to the people?
Well, I'm so grateful to have this opportunity to be here tonight and just really to celebrate power of purpose and leadership. And I believe that we're all called to be leaders in our own spheres of influence. And I think, part of my purpose is encouraging and mobilizing generosity. And so if you've never kind of found yourself in a spot where you feel like you can be generous, I would just say start somewhere. Start, find an area of your purpose and your passion and invest your life in that because you will be so grateful. You will be so fulfilled. There's more joy in giving than receiving always. And so one of my favorite donors just said, it's just more fun to give than it is to receive. And I believe that. And I think that we can all do something. And so find our spot. Each of us need to find our spots to invest our lives. And I think that's what you're doing every day.
Oh, wow. Awesome. Hey, I thank you for tuning in to Lead and Achieve with Doc Rock every second and fourth Thursday. We are trying just to be a blessing. We're trying to just help our community and our world just to be better. Now, you all know, no bad days. We got too much to do, too many people to help, too many things to get accomplished to have a bad day. Now, I know sometimes you may have a bad minute, a bad hour, maybe 4 hours, but never a bad day.
Yeah.
No, can't end your day bad. You got to find some good in it. So here's the deal. It's Super Sunday. It's Marvelous Monday. It's Terrific Tuesday. It's Wonderful Wednesday. It's Triumphant Thursday. It's Fantastic Friday. And it's Successful Saturday. I'm Doc Rock. This is Melissa Thompson. You join us at the top. We'll see you later.